Hi. Someone who had watched some of my other videos had sent me a statement made by a non-Christian who was criticizing Christianity, and they wanted my thoughts on the statement. Here is the statement. Christianity is ridiculous because their belief says that the only salvation is through believing in Jesus Christ. Means that you don't have to make any effort to make it to heaven. Islam makes more sense and more realistic because you have to make some effort to become good enough for salvation by doing good deeds, praying, etc. Now, first of all, the author asserts that Christianity is ridiculous. Interestingly, Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 18 says, "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of God." In other words, it is typical for those who are estranged from God, who are spiritually dead, to think the gospel of Christ is foolishness or ridiculous. But why do they believe it is ridiculous? Well, one of the reasons is because man by nature thinks that to get right with God, he must do something, he must do good works, maybe to make up for the sins they've committed, to hopefully get on God's good side. This is one of the biggest differences between Christianity and other religions. Biblical Christianity asserts a Christ-centered gospel, whereby in order to get right with God and make it into heaven, we must not trust in our own works, but trust entirely in the person and finished work of God in the flesh, Jesus Christ. Now, this is in stark contrast with all the religions which are man-centered, where the focus of man's trust must be on what man must do in order to somehow earn salvation. And so we see the salvation plan of biblical Christianity is God-centered, but the salvation plan of all other religions is man-centered. And so if you're a non-Christian and in your mind a good religion is one where a man must trust in what he must do, I can understand why you would think the gospel of Christianity is ridiculous, because it's simply contrary to your belief system. But it doesn't necessarily imply Christianity is ridiculous. It just seems to be that way when you hold it up to the standard of your non-Christian belief system. But let's give some thought as to which plan really is the ridiculous one. Assume you were stuck in a burning building and you had to choose between two different people to come and try to rescue you. One of those people is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-loving, but the other was very weak and sickly and not very intelligent at all, and actually a bit unloving. Who would you choose? Well, assume you chose the weak and sickly person. Well, don't you think that would be a pretty foolish decision, if not a ridiculous one? Why would you put the responsibility of your rescue into the hands of someone who is very weak and sick? It would seem to make more sense to choose the person who is all-powerful and all-knowing. Likewise, when it comes to the rescue of your never-dying soul, would you rather entrust your spiritual life into the hands of someone who is perfect, sinless, unchanging, all-powerful, all-loving, and all-knowing? Or would you rather put your trust in someone who is flawed, sinful, corrupt, and subject to change? Someone like you and I. Would it not be ridiculous to do the latter, to put your trust for your eternal soul in yourself, who is a very flawed person? How could that give you much peace? If you're trusting yourself, basically you have to hope that you will do enough good works before you die. But what if you don't do enough good? Note, you might be fervent in your religion now, but what if you end up succumbing to a lot more sin later on in life, and you end up having less desire and willpower to keep working hard for your salvation? Then what? You risk not becoming good enough for God, and you can end up in eternal hell. How could such a salvation plan bring you any comfort and peace now? I would submit that such a salvation plan is truly the ridiculous and foolish one. For would not the better plan be the one which involves you putting all of your trust for your justification into an all-powerful, loving being, an unchanging being, such as Jesus Christ, who suffered for all the sins of all those sinners who would ever come to believe in him? Indeed, Jesus is the only all-powerful being you can trust for the salvation of your soul. As Peter declares in Acts chapter 4, verse 12, in regard to the name of Yeshua, "Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved." Thank you for your time, and may our Heavenly Father bless you.